For the first time in Nepalese American media history, we are endorsing two wonderful candidates who have been very closing, serving Nepalese community and so on, especially in Queens, Jackson Heights, and Long Island City, Woodside, Sunnyside, and surrounding area. Those are the pockets area where lots of Nepalese are living. Two of those candidates to whom we are endorsing today and having some interaction with them regarding how they have been watching Nepalese community growing in this area and what are the specific plans for them, for Nepalese community, if we ask regarding our health, social, economic, cultural, and identity issue as well. We believe that they will serve us better in their district. Let us introduce them. Right side I have Steven Raga, who is running from District-30 in the New York Assembly, and left to me, Johanna Carmona, stays running from District-37. Thank you very much for joining us, Steven and Johanna.
Thank you for having me.
So let me start with Johanna. You have a wonderful career of attorney, and what is the background story that made you decide to run for state?
Of course. So one of the areas that the district encapsulates is Sunnyside. I grew up in Sunnyside. My parents came from Columbia. They actually met here in Queens.
Yes.
And they had my twin sister and I. And my father worked unloading trucks. At one point he cleaned medical offices and worked at a printing company in Long Island City. My mother, she was studying. She was actually an attorney in Columbia, but wanted to pursue her career here. And she unfortunately got sick at a very young age. We were 3 years old, and it was the members of the community, everyone from the community came out and really helped my family. And it was through, just helping with babysitting, letting us know about different programs available in the community. And through that, I actually became involved with the current Assemblywoman, Catherine Nolan, who's been in office since 1984.
Yes.
And
once I had the opportunity to have an interview with the Catholic. She's a wonderful lady.
Yes, and she's been very involved with the community, and I started off as her intern, and I helped people from different backgrounds, a lot of Spanish speakers as well, apply for the very same programs that I benefited from. And after that, I actually got hired as her Hispanic community liaison, but still working with everyone in the district.
Right.
And afterwards, I was encouraged to pursue law school. I did at some point. I started off as a paralegal, and then afterwards I became a prosecutor in Brooklyn, where I solely focused on special victims.
Right.
Then I went into civil litigation doing medical malpractice, mostly focusing on failure to diagnose breast cancer and the 9/11 Victim Compensation Fund claims, and I currently litigate the Child Victim Act cases. The reason why I'm here is it was actually a conversation with Kathy Nolan. She discussed how she was going to retire, and we saw this as a great opportunity, and this was an opportunity for me to come in, use my legal skills and my dedication to the community, and use that in Albany. And I'm very excited that the Assemblywoman even thought about me, and to even get that honor, to get that phone call, it was one of the happiest moments that anyone can receive. So this is why I'm running. I'm very excited. I've been seeing so many of my neighbors, but meeting so many. I've been tapping into
Say something like backbone to you.
What was that?
Say something, a reason that you are running for office.
To help the people that helped me growing up, and I want to make sure that I'm able to provide and continue those programs for the community, and to also bring awareness to a lot of programs and different programs that are available to people, especially immigrants who feel that they cannot go to their elected official, but make it as a community-based assembly seat, and that will be my focus.
Yes, and the same thing we want to know from Steven.
Yeah.
What's the reason that you decided to run for
Just
office?
one? Just one reason?
Yeah. Your background story.
Sure. No, again, thanks for the invitation. Great to see all our friends here tonight. My name is Steven Raga. I'm running for Assembly District 30. That's Woodside, Elmhurst, Maspeth, Millville Village, piece of Jackson Heights and Astoria. How did I get here? It wasn't the plan. As of a few weeks ago, I was still the executive director of Woodside on the Move, focused on housing policy, moving into environmental and also human rights work. but it has a long-standing history of after-school programming for Woodsiders and surrounding neighborhoods. Previously, before that, I was also a Northeast Regional Manager for Policy for Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation. So I oversaw healthcare legislation in 11 states, from Maryland to Maine, and making sure patients had the best experience possible during their healthcare experiences. Before that, similar story. I did work at the State Assembly as well. I was the Chief of Staff for the current Assemblyman, Brian Barnwell. I wish he gave me a heads up that he was doing this, but I was Chief of Staff for 4 years, helped from the beginning. So I helped him establish the office, do the community outreach, and set up some of those.
Brian is really close to our community as well.
He's good.
It's a lot of.
Yeah, I heard he's going to be cafe with you guys.
Of course.
Yeah.
He is a Momo lover.
He's a what?
Momo, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Love that.
I too.
Yes,
I too
yes,
am a
yes.
lover. And also have before that has spent years in working in nonprofit law organizations and institutions and law offices, working with civil rights and human rights, specifically on the international level. I think my family has been also here since the 60s. I've lived here a long time as well. I can find 3 residences around this, this office where I lived in the last 20-25 years. So this neighborhood is really special to me, and I can see the growth of a lot of communities, like the Nepali community. My family's from the Philippines. And I can see a lot of similarities, not just in the trajectory, but also the needs in a lot of the communities and immigrants here. Similarly, I think there should be an increase in services and allocation of funds for communities like ours. A focus on, in-language access is great, but we need to do more. And also, specific programs, like I hear from the Nepali community, like after school programming, increasing those seats. Working at Woodside on the Move, I saw how we needed to work with city agencies to make sure that happens, and make sure the process is equitable, and make sure it's proportionate to the community that it reflects. And lastly, I also heard, and similar to the communities I've worked with, the need for a community center, a place where we can gather, express our culture, exchange ideas, and also see what we can prioritize for our neighborhood. Having all that experience within grounded in nonprofit work in the community, actually chief of staff for this specific office, and also work with nonprofits that focus in our communities here in Western Queens. I think that'd be an okay choice to make sure that we can advocate for folks here and that no one feels left behind.
Yes, thank you so much. And it's my honor to welcome one of our friend and community leader, Mr. Carmona. He's the president of Queens Rotary Club. Thank you very much for joining us. Is it possible to take it back? Because Max mandate is already taken.
He's a community
Don't
board
worry.
3 member.
He's a very famous community leader. Thank you very much for joining us. He's also community
Not
board
much
member.
as they announced, but
What's the district your community board member?
Board 3.
Board 3. Thank you so much. And yes, of course, back to the candidates. That you both guys are representing probably the most diverse location in this country, maybe. I think in this planet, maybe. Is that Queens?
Yes.
So how seriously are you considering this package, Johanna? I would like to know from you. And do you have any special feelings about it or any plan about it? Diversity, how do you address people from different part of the world, different culture, different ethnic backgrounds, and so much different traditions?
Yeah, so even right now and during my campaign, my focus has been to tap into the different communities and making sure there's transparency and accessibility. So if someone reaches out in a specific language, immediately I try to find someone that, even if I don't speak that language, to make sure that I have someone translating. That to me is one of my top priorities, because I do want people.
Have you prepared materials in different languages?
So right now we have prepared in Spanish. This has been, I announced pretty late, but when I focus on anyone reaching out in a different language, we do try to find someone that's within the team or someone within the community to translate. That has been a
so
priority.
So community people can read your agenda or your issue, everything in Nepali. if they want, right?
Well, they can call, we can immediately arrange for someone
Arrange for someone
to
translate
to
it.
translate it,
Yes,
for
please
sure.
keep on.
No, definitely.
Yes.
And the Nepali community has been so welcoming and, you know, volunteering, and it's wonderful because when I'm door knocking,
Really big number in your area, like
there
I said.
is,
Yes, in Sunnyside.
there's a growing community
Yes,
and it's
of course.
wonderful. And,
Yes.
you know, I was so lucky, people came out and volunteered with me, and to be able to knock on that door and have someone from the community also with me, and also being able to, for me, also express myself, but also
Of
with the
course.
translation.
Yeah.
So it was a very endearing and wonderful moment when I was able to do that while I was door knocking. But as an assembly member, I do want to make sure the staff is very diverse,
Of course.
because we want to make sure that people are able to come into the office and whatever question they may have, complication, that we're able to explain this to the constituents and whoever comes in, it doesn't matter who it is, to be able to provide aid and accessibility. I think accessibility is going to be the key for me, and, you know, Steven mentioned something great, the funding for different programs in different languages, especially in our educational programs, the after-school programs, which do lack funding, and we want to amplify that because we have most of our immigrant community. We work very hard, we work long hours, and our kids should not, you know, they shouldn't suffer because of that. If anything, it should be, okay, we understand your parents have to work, but now we're providing you with these options for you to go after school and different, not just educational, but the different languages, but also different activities. So they're exposed to different options as they get older. I was exposed to different programs, like they had randomly a tennis clinic or a book club or any of those things, sports, or even Friday nights for even young adults. I think that's wonderful because, and I think we should focus on that because that's going to change a lot as these children get older and be able to seek out other educational opportunities. So that will definitely be my focus as an
Of course.
assembly member.
Yes, and in another issue, I will come here after the Steven. The same question I would like to pass to you. What's your saying on it?
On the diversity, of
and
our
yes.
neighborhood.
And how do you like to protect their identity, especially, I would like to say.
Oh, okay. Their cultural heritage and
Yes,
identity.
many more.
I think it's special. It would be an honor. I think that yes, this is one of the most, if not the most, diverse neighborhoods in America, if not the world. And what that means is, I think, as they say, Queens is the future. Our neighborhood is you have a glimpse of what America is going to look like eventually, and having that intersection of all these cultures come together. With that, though, we need to make sure that, as mentioned, we have the proactive access to not just resources, any information to all our community members here. I make sure that, or we endeavor as much as possible to have all our communications be in language where we can. I know the website is in language in Spanish. Our Instagram or some of our social media is in Spanish, Tagalog, Nepali, Bangladeshi, Chinese, Arabic, a few others. I've been on that other side.
Yeah.
I have been there where elected officials and candidates do not even knock our door. Do not, and during the year, do not help us when we need. I have been in community centers that funding went away and it's gone, and a whole community suffers for a decade on that. And a lot of that is the lack of proactive outreach from government. I will make sure that that is not the case when I'm on the other side of the table here. And I will make sure that we have proactive meetings with these community members, not just once a year, not just during election time, but a regular meetup time. And that's what we have to do. We have to say, we're diverse, but what are we going to do with that diversity? A big part of that is reinvestment into that community, and a big part of that is regular communication to build a relationship and trust with communities that need it.
So you represent Jackson Heights as well, right?
A little piece. I got Diversity Plus.
You have Diversity Plus.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Sammy's
Yes,
truck.
that's a symbol of diversity. How much closer are you with that feeling?
How is it?
Yeah.
I feel good. I feel good. I mean, it's very symbolic, of course, and I think that's something we would like to highlight, not just in this district, but also in Albany and across the country.
Yes. Now I would like to take some questions. Yes. Are you making?
I'm just amazing. Your campaign You start from there.
Yes. Oh, that's right. That's right. We announced in Jackson Heights in the
So
birthday
before going to Jonah, I would like to request Sam Karki that he had 3 questions he sent me through the Instagram.
Yeah.
But he's already here. That's why I believe that it's better than you will ask.
It's a year.
Well, regarding the kids,
I think you no. I said my question. That's it.
yes, later I will come. Come, sir, you have any questions?
Alright,
Candidates,
so
please.
at least I have to join with you. It's okay. It's a good thing is you catch the good people who is leading our community. That is the good things for you. Okay. My question is why we should vote you rather other your opinion. Other one.
Excellent.
What you already mentioned it.
No, that's excellent question.
Why we have to, and then why we are going to our community and telling them Mr. Steven is this kind of the people and he is devoted. What you did before to the community. You are here, right now it's the election campaign is going
Of
on.
course.
That's why you are coming up
Yes.
or you are involving your time and energy before to the community, what you did before. So what we gonna be take your message to our community.
Yes. Thank you so much, Cam, sir. They highlighted a little bit about their past, how they came up to
Yeah.
this stage, but the questions you made that why we should vote you and what made the different that you
Different
were
than
different than
other
other
opinion.
candidates. So first Steven, then I will come to Jonah. The same questions. This is really important. Yes, please.
So the difference between, I would rather say what I don't know. I guess I should do more. I don't know much about my opponent on where he might stand on this. So I would just say from my
This
perspective.
is just yes. How you would like to explain?
Sure,
yourself?
sure. For me, I think that I have flat out been in that position where government was not committed to doing outreach into my community. I was a member of the Philippine Forum where we were next to Saya in Elmhurst on Seabury Street where we couldn't find an office, so I had to find another office that ended up on 69th and Roosevelt. A few years later, no funds, and that's gone. So that was a point of our community that was not funded, and youth services, senior services, immigrant services, legal services, out of the window. Government did not step in and helped us whatsoever. Under my watch, I would never make any other community feel that way and have that experience, that kind of loss. Never. Thanks. Another part of that is to have a proactive outreach to the diversity of our community. Outreach is great. That's great. But your staff should also reflect that community. I will make a promise that I will make sure that and strongly look for Nepali candidates to be part of our office so we can have regular conversations and build that community up. Not just have that external relationship, but that you have a relationship to our office and by extension to the state government.
Yes. Thank you, Steven. And same question, Jonah. How would you like to answer to him?
Absolutely. For me personally, I do think that I benefited from a lot of state programs.
Right.
I did growing up. I benefited from food stamps. I benefited from a lot of poverty-based programs, and I believe that even reaching out to several people right now as I knock on doors, many people are not even aware of those programs.
Yeah.
And I'm there and I sit there and I'm on my phone, I'm like, you should apply for this, you should apply for that, you should apply for this. And they're like, why, how do I not know about this? And one of my points is to make sure that people are aware, and it's all backgrounds. Like I mentioned, I want to have a very diverse staff. I want to be able to hold workshops because some of these programs are overwhelming when you're doing the applications. And even coming from a legal background, I'm looking at this and I'm like, I can't even ask my father to look at this. Like, this is impossible. So being able to not only provide the services, but walk people through it, handhold them. And I even have a background with that. I dedicated my whole entire legal career representing victims of awful assaults, child abuse, medical malpractice, 9/11, and now currently the Child Victim Act survivors. And to be a strong advocate for different people of all backgrounds, and I'm bringing that with me to Albany. I've been recognized by New York State Trial Lawyers Association for my work, and for me, advocacy and making sure my community is taken care of is something I take very seriously. And it's the moment that we are helping each other and we're working together, that's how we move forward. This is how we make it a better place, not only just for ourselves, but our families and our children. That's how we get a safer community. So that's one of the reasons why I think that everyone should come out and vote for me. Yes.
Yes. So we have social worker Dolma here. Would you mind to make a question?
Yeah, sure.
What's your question? Yes.
Yes, I would like to ask.
So by the way, Dolma works for Drum, which is
Drum beats.
Drum
Beats.
Beats. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I can say a little bit.
Yeah.
So I work at Drum Beats. We work with South Asian and Indo-Caribbean community, and we work with different campaigns that work with social justice and like for those sort of campaigns.
Yeah.
So my question to you both is, first question is, what if you had to prioritize, aside from community related, right? If you had to prioritize some of your top issues that you're working on, what would that be? You know, like, yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, you can.
Sure. Number one for me, easily, is housing. Making sure that tenants and homeowners, anyone, is not pushed out of our neighborhoods. That they can grow and grow their family here and not feel that they have to get priced out and look for other neighborhoods to dwell. This is the most diverse neighborhood. We don't want anyone moving from here to New Jersey. No one's here from New Jersey, right? And we want to keep everyone here.
Yeah.
So protecting them is easily my number one priority. Secondly is small business services. Through the pandemic, small businesses has fed us, kept us closed, kept us all our resources that we need every day. They stayed open and make sure, and they still need the support from government, whether it's state, local, or federal. And I'll make sure that I champion some, not just small businesses in general throughout New York City, but also owners of more immigrant backgrounds to make sure that resources are prioritized and given or proactively reallocated to our communities. Third, there is a rise of crime, especially with Asian American hate. I have had many family members, friends also that are scared to take the train, scared to take public, scared to go outside.
Yeah.
So, and folks, just because they look like us, do not feel safe just walking outside. There has to be proactive planning and measures to ensure that our community feels safer, not just symbolically, but at the same time making sure that issues or funding can also be given to other root causes of some of these. So like mental health services, that includes proper housing, security, so that there's a comprehensive approach to safety for New York.
Yes, thank you. And Jonah, please.
So there are a lot of issues that I've definitely encountered as I meet so many people in the community. The top three being pulled, not trying to take away from the other issues, have been education, affordable housing, and why am I blanking? Education, affordable housing, and safety. And education, we see it in our community, our infrastructure is not following the amount of people that are in the neighborhoods. So for example, in Long Island City, maybe a decade ago, we had only a certain number of people. There weren't that many. Many of us, I grew up going to that area.
Yeah.
There was nothing. There was that Citibank building, and that was
Warehouses.
it. And now it's expanded, it's skyrocketed. And the schools, they can only take so many students, and there's overcrowding. The infrastructure is not following the population. And even you see it in Sunnyside and in Bridgewood, the schools are overcrowded. Even in IS 125, the students were going to school in with trailers at one point, and that's unacceptable. We cannot have students going to school in trailers. Granted, they were able to add additional parts to the school, but now they're building another middle school. And I think just focusing on how we can fix the classroom sizes, I believe children will benefit from smaller classrooms. And I benefited from a small classroom, and I think because, especially if you're coming from an immigrant background and you're speaking 2 languages,
Yeah.
my first language was Spanish. I don't know how I passed pre-K because I did not speak English. And I think that just being able to make sure that our students are paid attention to and they're not left behind, and parents are also involved. So education is going to be a very big priority to me. With that being said, also affordable housing, our rent prices are increasing. I've been a lifelong tenant, and this is becoming. And I'm already coming in with a salary as an attorney, and that's not to brag, but I'm just saying, like, even the working communities, like my parents who are immigrants, they won't not be able to afford, if they had to move, they couldn't afford any of the apartments. So being that and making sure that still the programs like security and jury are funded, especially our seniors and people with disabilities, we have to make sure they are protected when it comes to this rise in rent. Small property owners, you take your whole life savings and you put it towards a house, and you want to make sure that they're not pushed out. This is like Steven mentioned, very diverse community, and it's wonderful to see the hard work, especially when you own your first house. That's like the dream, the American dream, right? And when it comes to safety, there has been a rise in with hatred towards the Asian community. We've seen it especially even in Manhattan, here in Queens. We saw the young woman that was assaulted and not only murdered in Manhattan. We saw a woman shoved on the train. And I was, grateful. Working with NAVA, I was able to attend an anti-hate rally, and people are grateful. They're like, "Thank you for standing with us. Make this more visible. Vocalize about this." It's sometimes like nothing is happening, and it's like it keeps on happening. You're like, why is this happening? Well, what's going on? So bringing awareness to that. Everyone's brothers and sisters. We need to work together. Mental health is a big thing. And in the city here, if you call for someone, if someone is ill, there's a 72-hour hold in Bellevue, for example. They provide medication, some form of treatment, but afterwards, they're kind of left to their own devices afterwards. There is no follow-up. We have to make sure that people understand that mental health is a real thing, and we have to address it.